My sewing journey, as some of you know, started many years ago, and I was literally driven by a passion to create my own style, but also the lack of money. I could not look amazing with the clothes in a store, mainly because most of them were terrible quality, and truly I wanted to reflect who I am. Sewing became my way of adapting to new times and needs, of course, and honestly, it's been one of the most rewarding journeys I've ever taken. So let's dive into how you can start sewing the right way as a beginner. And I truly hope that by the end of this video, you will know exactly what you need to get started. You will find your motivation and your whys, how to choose the right tools, and the best approach to mastering sewing without even feeling overwhelmed. So grab your fabric, grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, and let's dive in how to tip your toes into such a wide, beautiful, and fun industry, the sewing of your own garments and creating for others. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty, let's talk about the why. Why learning to sew is so powerful? First of all, I would say definitely self-expression. Create clothes and accessories that truly reflect your personality and style. Another main reason was for me as well, financial savings. Tailor a man's own wardrobe instead of constantly buying new things, trying to fit into them and trying to kind of like look your best. It's absolutely impossible in my opinion with what's currently on the rack most of the time in a low cost to look amazing. They either last very little or they are not made properly and the quality is terrible. As well, I would say a big one would be versatility and adaptability, whether for fashion, on home decor, or even making money in alteration or creating one-of-a-kind pieces. Sewing definitely will open endless possibilities for you. And if not now, in the future, by keep practicing and working, for sure it will. Alright, so we had a couple of little things about why should you start sewing. Let's get practical. Here is your beginner checklist for sewing success. If you want to start, please start small so it's not overwhelming for you. Do not buy a bunch of things that you don't even know whether you're going to use or not, so take it slowly in the beginning. I would say begin with simple projects like pillowcases or tote bags, something that is functional and it's incredibly easy for practice. Of course, you will need some essential tools. And here we have a basic sewing kit, and that would include scissors, pins, needles, thread, a measuring tape, a seam ripper, and some marking tools or chalk. Of course, you need to look into beginner-friendly fabrics. I would say for the beginning, to be easier for you, not to have anything stretching out or draping or sliding around, try to work with cotton or muslin. They are affordable and of course so much easier for you to handle. And so the rate of success is so much greater. And so you will start with the right vibe. I will add in the description below a couple of links for a couple of good industry recommended scissors and see if you can afford one of those. They're truly not that expensive, but over the years, they truly worth the money. As a sewing machine, to have a sewing machine in your house, it's absolutely essential in my opinion. But start with a user-friendly machine like the Brother CS7000X, or maybe have a Singer heavy-duty 4423 because this is a little bit more versatile. If you do want to look more into what sewing machine works best for you as a beginner, I will include here the link of my previous video, what's the best sewing machine for beginners to buy now. You will also find this link in the description below. There would be a little bit more information that you need as a beginner in what to look for. You know, what type of fabric you're going to sew, what type of budget you have, and so on. So as soon as you finish this video, head over there and watch that video, and I'm pretty sure you will get a little bit more information and a bit more understanding of what you truly need as a beginner. However, both of the two machines I just mentioned to you, Brother CS7000X or even Singer Heavy Duty 4423, they're both really great for beginners. They're both versatile enough for intermediates as well. So I would say, in my opinion, any of these two machines in a very good price point are going to last you for a very long time. If you do decide to become a professional, I'm pretty sure by then you will be able to understand a lot better sewing process, and you would be able to decide for yourself what type of sewing machine for your needs you're going to purchase. But that's a little bit further up. For now, let's focus on something that will serve your needs as a beginner towards the intermediate even, so you don't waste money further out by trying to buy another one, because what you originally bought in the beginning, it's too cheap and it has too little functions to be able to help you further to advance your sewing skills. Obviously, now we discuss about the basic toolkit, which is essential for you to start. Let's get to what fabrics you should start sewing with. Choosing the right fabrics and mastering functional techniques can set you up for success, trust me. But let's start with fabrics. So best fabrics for beginners, I would say, first of all, focus on getting some cotton in your collection. It's affordable, it's easy to sew, and it's of course widely available. Next would be muslin. It's perfect for practice and testing patterns. It's also cheap. I would say anywhere in a range of $1.99 to maybe $2.99 per yard. If you do think you're going to give this learning process a go, there's nothing wrong with buying a larger amount, and usually some of the sellers, and I'm going to put a couple of links in the description below, are going to give you a discount on a higher amount of yardage. So maybe that's a good way to look at things. If you do decide to give this sewing process a go, if you do want to be serious about it, probably the best way to look into getting more fabric so you can have a lot to waste. You will waste a lot in the beginning because you're going to make a couple of mistakes. If you make mistakes, it's really nice to have a seam ripper nearby so you can undo stitches, but I would say if it's not worth it or it will take a long time, abandon that and start from scratch. Sometimes it's even better for your learning process. Linen as well, in my opinion, it's going to be a good option for you to start. Obviously not before cotton, not before muslin. Slightly more advanced anyway, but I would say still truly beginner friendly. Next will be felt. It's great for crafts, for simple projects, and also gives you an idea how you're going to control thicker fabrics in your sewing machine. Because here you would need to adjust the stitch length, you would need to adjust the tension, so it would be a little bit more for you to play with your sewing machine so you can know it a little bit better. Next, denim, but not the thick one because your sewing machine might not respond too well, but it's the denim lightweight. It's a bit thicker but manageable with practice. These are my top recommended fabrics for you to start with. Don't jump in stretchy fabrics, do not jump for lace yet. Focus and master these fabrics first, and then you can move up to different textures and different kind of draping. Now let's move on to our techniques to learn and what I think is most important for you to learn in the beginning. First of all, straight stitching. It's the foundation of all sewing projects. You can't move past this, you cannot advance in your learning process unless you truly master and control the straight stitching. Focus on that, sewing as many stitches as you need, go through as much fabric as you need to understand how to control, to understand the tension of your sewing machine, to understand the stitch length. Play on cotton, different type of stitches. Next, I would say it's important to know seam finishing. Definitely as a technique like pinking or zigzag stitching to prevent fraying, it's so important for you to have a clean and closer to professional look. So don't really rush into closing a garment and leave your seams unfinished because you're not going to be happy. It's going to look messy. On top of this, I would say you need to learn hemming. Learn to create clean edges for garments and home decor. It's key for you to have beautiful projects. And the most important thing I've learned so far in all my years of sewing, do not do anything, do not even dare to look at your seams unless you press them. It's so important to have the seams set and settled with the heat of an iron. Press them so you have a good idea where you're going with. It will look so much better, and the end result, your end garment is going to look so much better if you're going to press the seam every time you finish one. Now, also, it's very important for you to know the right learning methods. Most of the time, I find that if you don't look for in the right places for the right information, you're going to feel overwhelmed. So here are the 3 popular approaches that, in my opinion, are going to shape the seamstress you're going to become or the designer you're looking to become. So number 3, paper patterns. Of course, brands like Vogue and Simplicity are offering pre-made patterns for all skill levels. They are great for structural learning. They were never my favorite. I do work with them every now and then. So you really need to understand exactly, take your time to learn how to read them. Don't rush the process because you're going to make mistakes. If you miss steps, if you misread, if you don't understand the actual measurements, it's going to turn out into a mess and you're going to be disappointed from the beginning. Option number 2, it's one of my favorite, is draping. If you are feeling creative, drape fabric directly on a dress form and shape your designs. This will require for you to have a dress form. I'm going to put a couple of links in the description below in order for you to try to see whether you can afford or whether you want to start with purchasing a dress form. I have mine for the past 12 years. I don't think I could have made a better purchase. It's absolutely amazing. It fits my body measurements almost. And I've also learned how to drape on the size, whatever your dress form is. And from there, take the challenge to take whatever you draped and resizes in a different size, just so you can actually learn how to scale patterns and how to make garments a different size. So it's a different way to look at things, but obviously it's another learning method. And my top absolutely favorite way of learning, it's deconstructing all the clothes. If you know me, if you watch any of my videos before, I have told this story so many times. I have started sewing fueled by passion for fashion, fueled by passion of wanting to look different, but also fueled by the lack of money. And so I decided to go by thrift store. I would pick up in the beginning very basic items, something that I would know has a lot of simpler construction, something with not a lot of fabric manipulation and pattern pieces. I will cut them, I will undo the stitches, and I would recreate those items for myself in a fabric I wanted for my own size. I would change the measurements, and this is how I learned how to sew. Results were very sloppy in the beginning, I have to say. I am not really proud of most of it, but what I'm proud the most is where I am today, the things I was able to achieve. I created a fashion line on my own. I have clients that I'm working with, whether it's alteration or creating one-of-a-kind pieces. So all that process, every single day of my life for the past 12 years, they meant something. I've learned something. I've made a lot of mistakes. I waste money on the way, but truly I'm very happy where I am and where I'm going with this. So unless I started deconstructing thrift clothes 12 years ago, I would have not been today where I am. In the end of the day, you have to choose what excites you the most. Also, mixing and matching methods can be fun too. So give it a go and find your way, find what makes you happy and find whatever works for you. But in the end of the day, I can tell you that patience is the key. Of course, mistakes are part of the process. Please remember that every single day you get discouraged, you are overwhelmed, and you want to stop whatever you were doing. Every seam rip teaches you something. Take it slow and celebrate the small wins, right? And don't compare your journey with others. Remember, even the best seamstresses were once beginners. I would just say that if you're older and looking for a way to stay busy, sewing is perfect. It's never too late to learn, and not only can it keep your mind sharp, but it can also bring some extra income. So don't give up. And plus, handmade items are always in demand. Remember, from custom clothes to home decor to whatever, you name it. Plus, you will meet amazing people in a sewing community. It is a very strong community full of supportive people. Give it a go and let me know what you think in the section below. And if you do have any questions, I'm available to answer anytime. Remember, Every single professional seamstress was once a beginner. The key of this amazing hobby, I think, firstly, you have to fall in love. And as anything else, you can't really do anything well in life without loving it, without dreaming about, and without knowing that you truly need it. In my situation, I've also needed desperately, but I've also dreamt about it for a long time. And so I developed a passion, and along with this passion, I developed curiosity to learn. And that fueled me throughout this entire process for the past 12 years of my life. In the beginning, I thought it's going to be just a stage. That's why I didn't take myself seriously. But when I knew it's keeping me up in the nighttime, when I knew it's coming on and off in my mind for days and weeks at the time, I knew that it's time for me to listen to my own self and understand what I want and what makes me happy, and try to get that for myself. First of all, give yourself time and have fun. Sometimes you will start projects that are a little bit too advanced because you are ambitious and feel like failing, but that is that you are not good enough. But keep going and keep learning. Maybe take a break from that project, replace it, put it aside, and replace it with something else a little bit easier until you learn another skill, until you need another way of doing things, and then get back to it and finish it up. And you will be so happy with yourself, moving forward and taking an extra step, one step in front of the other. I think my passion, my bug came from envy, to be honest with you, because looking at others wearing beautiful, expensive clothes and knowing that I will never be able to afford, nor willing to spend a fortune on a high-end fashion, that motivated me to want to learn how to sew for myself, and I took matters into my own hands because I truly wanted to look good, but I didn't want to have to spend a lot of money, and I felt a lot of guilt spending money on brands that maybe were really well done but out of my range. One more thing I would say, if you can organize your tools and your fabrics in a way that works for you, but try to avoid the clutter. A cluttered workspace can sometimes kill your creativity, and a messy room, it can block your creativity and from having that right vision. So let's talk organization. Keep your tools in a dedicated sewing box or drawers. I keep mine in one of those cheap Walmart drawers on the wheels that I can drag them around the room. Depends where is better light, where is a better angle for me. Also use trays if it's easier for you, or even containers to keep things like pin, needles, bobbins. All these keep them together and organized. Also, fabric organization, I would say fold your fabric neatly and store them by color, by fabric type, by whatever works for you. Clear storage bins are also great at keeping fabric visible and protect them from dust as well if you don't use them as much. I generally go pretty quick to my fabric piles. I keep them displayed on a shelf. I have specific bins for start-on projects. I have specific bins for leftover fabrics. And remember, I told you before in previous videos, because I'm such a hoarder, I feel pain when I throw away little pieces of fabric. So I tend to hold on them a little bit longer for just in case. It's entirely up to you. Solutions are endless. Find a way that works best for you to make your life a little bit easier every single time you need them. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your skills, having the right resources, it's a game changer. Here are some of the best places to learn and grow as a sewist. First of all, I would say online tutorials and courses are probably a first bet. Next thing would be books. The Sewing Book by Alison Smith, it's the one that I think has helped me the most in my career because it has detailed pictures and instruction. Another one is Sewing 101, A Beginner's Guide to Sewing by Creative Publishing International. I don't have it. I heard only good reviews about it, so maybe you should give it a go. Next would be local classes and workshops, sewing communities as well, like joining Facebook group, Reddit communities like sewing meetups to share tips and get feedback. As well, subscription for magazines. They really work really well for me. Threads is the one that I cannot cannot have enough of. There is so much information, so many techniques, so many interesting things that I want to read, that I want to learn, and I cannot tell you how many times I find myself looking through these magazines for hours, catching up with techniques that I haven't done in a while, or maybe having ideas for future projects. Also, some of these trade shows, one of them is Magic, another one is Fabric Sourcing in New York. So if you do have the chance to travel, if you live anywhere closer to any of these big hubs like Las Vegas or Los Angeles or New York, they're going to be so useful. And on top of this, you're going to meet some amazing people. You're going to watch some speakers. They're going to give you a good idea what the fashion business is about, where to start the right way if you do decide to take your business to the next level. And also you'll be able to connect with people mind-like from different places of the world or country that you're going to be able to stay in touch with and bounce ideas with, and learn all the good stuff that industry has to offer. Of course, most likely you're going to wonder how much money should you start with. It's entirely up to you. If you do want a very slow start, if you do think that this is going to be a one-off hobby or something that you're going to do like every now and then when you feel bored or you just need to close a seam, maybe just expect to start a little bit lower. But for your average hobbyist, for someone who's planning to put a little bit more time into sewing and developing that skill set required to move forward, I would say maybe just expect of somewhere about $100 to $150 for your basic tools and supplies. For a sewing machine, I would always say you can find a very good sewing machine that can take you from beginner to intermediate, from $150 to maybe up to about $400. If you do buy a sewing machine and you do not know its functions, if you don't know how that machine can help your day-to-day tasks, that's going to be a waste of money. Before anything else, learn what that sewing machine does for you. Learn how to use it the proper way. Have that booklet, manual, instructions, whatever comes with, have it always handy. Sometimes you will have to troubleshoot it yourself, but sometimes you're gonna use something over and over again and you're gonna get bored and you're gonna explore what else that machine does for you. Of course, you also have to try to maybe find a supplier for fabrics and maybe patterns as well, so you can have an easy start. Of course, you're going to start with some sort of fabric. We discussed this before. It's going to be cottons, it's going to be muslin, it's going to be denim in lightweight, something that doesn't slide around, something doesn't stretch, something that is not on bias and it doesn't trick your seams and your feet. Try to pile a little bit of different type of thickness, a little bit of different of weight, so you can practice different stitches. Of course, I would encourage you to have some abandoned clothes that you're not wearing anymore, that you can actually kind of like discard and start cutting, opening them up and understand how they were constructed previously, and start to recreate the same garment in a different fabric, just so you can understand the basic construction. If you don't have any of those clothes, get over to your Salvation Army or any thrift store you have in an area, grab a couple of pieces and start deconstructing those pieces. Understand how they were originally constructed, understand stitching, understand darts, and all those beautiful things that are going into creating a garment. So there you have it, your ultimate beginner's guide to sewing. Check the links in the description below for all the tools, fabrics, and resources I mentioned in this video. And once again, as we discussed before, if you are ready to dive into the world of sewing, remember, start simple, practice consistently, learn from your mistake, and don't rush the learning process. I think it's really important. With the right tools, fabrics, techniques, patience, and the right amount of caffeine, you will be able to create some amazing things in no time. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of my tutorials. I know I do talk a lot. I do like to give you a lot of resources and options, at least as much as I had in the beginning. to make your life a little bit easier. Let me know in the comments what's going to be your first project. Share it with us and let's see how we can help each other achieve better things. Happy sewing, and remember, with every stitch you are mastering a skill that can be lasting you for a lifetime. Have fun and have patience. Take care. See you next time.
Living with no shame. Wait, no, it's sleeping in on Sundays. I guess it's different for each of us, and that's okay. Well, I just wanna